Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw Matt Chat. And today we've got yet another special guest for our monthly Matt Chat talk. And it's, of course, WrestleTalk's Luke Owen. Woo!
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for joining us, Luke, here in the Champions Lounge. Wait a second. You got a title.
Oh,
I have a title.
Duh.
Steve doesn't have a title.
Oh, no, Steve.
We might have to do this,
Beltless
you and me
Steve?
here, Luke. No Steve today for Matt Chat. Sorry,
I got to
Steve.
take the day off. I've got no problem. No, listen, I got to be around to hold all this together. Luke, you were generous enough to have me on your show over a year ago now.
Over a year ago now, yeah. I found the picture in my phone. And
Yeah.
we passed the year anniversary of you being out with us.
That's right. That was a blast. You guys were so absolutely kind and inviting to me in that sweaty office of yours.
Oh, it was awful. Absolutely horrific. That was like a really hot day.
It
was
super
worth the
hot.
day. Because we're going to sit out in that pub garden and have a few bevs afterwards, which was really, really nice.
Yeah.
That was so awesome. Speaking of which, I know it's like lunchtime for you guys, but it's the evening here in the UK. So if you don't mind.
Look at that.
Oh,
no,
have it.
please do. I mean, Larson usually day drinks during the show anyway, so
Well, on occasion.
it's really not that different.
It's not an everyday thing, but you know,
Right.
if the mood strikes, why not?
So, in case there's anybody out there living under a rock, Luke, where can people find you out there in the internet?
So we are on WrestleTalk over on YouTube. I don't know if we have a vanity URL, but search WrestleTalk and you'll find us. We've got the WrestleTalk news over there on a daily basis, daily wrestling news. We've got the WrestleTalk podcast as well. I'm on Twitter at This Is Luke Owen. Go give me a follow on there. Very active on my Twitter machine. So if you want to hear me talk inane nonsense, that is the place to try and find me.
No, I love it because I think you and I what I've noticed is that you and I have somewhat similar opinions on a variety of topics. You had mentioned before about how you think Batman Forever is a horribly underrated movie. I sort of feel like Batman and Robin is a horribly underrated movie. So, I've noticed that a lot with your tweets.
Oh, absolutely. Like I once wrote an article for a movie website, which was basically like, guys, it's time we started celebrating Batman and Robin. Like the time has come for us to look at this film with new, fresh eyes and appreciate it for its, its flawed genius of it's trying to be a comedy. And its biggest failing is it's an unfunny comedy, but at least it knows what it is.
It
and
does.
we can laugh at how bad it is. And it's good. It's a good time, man. I'd much rather that than watch The Dark Knight.
Yeah. When I watched The Dark Knight Rises, you're sitting there for like 3 hours. And you're like, number one, this movie doesn't make any sense. At least within the context of its own universe, Batman and Robin makes a hell of a lot more sense than Dark Knight Rises. But anyways, that's movies. Maybe one day we'll get together for a movie podcast. But today we're talking to our friendos. We had our friendos over on the Patreon send us their video questions. And we're all going to answer those questions to the best of our ability. So, Larson, who's first?
Christopher Rampersad has our first question. Take it away, Christopher.
Hello, Steve and Larson. So my problem is the upcoming draft. Okay, how are you going to do a draft where we're in a COVID situation, especially there's a COVID situation in Florida, and then half the roster is either gone because of COVID or they just release. So still, how do you do a draft and how does that work? And do you even have enough talent for that? I'm just a little confused. Can you guys explain it, or is it like the same thing? Like are you guys confused too, or are you just gonna wait to see what happened? Let me know.
Thank you, Christopher. So,
Thank you, Christopher.
Luke, you're our guest. You go first. Do you think the WWE has enough people for a draft? How should they handle it this time around?
I mean, I think WWE's got one of the most stacked rosters, if not the most stacked roster, like on the planet. Like, I think they've got the best like talent pool available. I think it's a case of you've got to make some killer draft moves in there. I mean, although really, the draft's already started. Yeah, because Mandy Rose got drafted a couple of weeks ago. Dana Brooke and Drew Gulak apparently have been drafted as well, with Drew Gulak on Raw now. So, guess it's already begun. I think it just needs like a big killer move in there. I don't know, maybe if you want to move the Fiend across so you can keep that Fiend Roman storyline bubbling, but you just don't have to pull the trigger on it now. You can just spread that out over a long period of time. I'd also like to see a top heel get drafted over from SmackDown to Raw. So Drew's got someone new to face, because he's running low on top challengers. There's a reason why they're doing a third month of Randy.
Yeah, I agree with all that. We actually did for our for Friendo Club TV, our Patreon, Twitch sub, YouTube channel member exclusive show. We did like our top picks for what moves should be made through the draft. But I'll talk about something a little bit different here. I think that I'm not sure if there's going to be any. Okay, I don't think there's going to be any like huge moves like when we saw the World Heavyweight Champion and the WWE Champion cross brands. I don't think the Universal Champion is going to move over to Raw and the WWE Champion is going to move over to SmackDown. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't know. I feel like presentation wise, it'll probably be a little bit different because like I don't know how much they want somebody up there at a podium. I mean, I guess like you can have Stephanie at a podium, but usually she just like Zoom calls in these days. I think you're right though. I think that there are plenty of people on the roster. I don't think that like the number of people is an issue. I think they have too many people still at this point, and they already did some releases in April. I hope we'll get some NXT call-ups. Probably my most concerning prediction that I can make for the draft is I have a distinct feeling that Adam Cole is going to be drafted to one of the brands without the Undisputed Era. I think they're going to break up the Undisputed Era via the draft. I get that feeling. It's going to piss everybody off. I kind of feel like that's what they're going to do, though. I get that feeling. I'm throwing it out there into the world. Maybe because I'm throwing it out there, it won't happen.
It won't happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't happen. Like the last time they did the draft, it kind of felt like the draft was almost an afterthought amidst the draft, Like they'd have the show would go on and they'd take a break. Oh, here's a couple picks. But most of the draft picks were announced after the fact. Like there was like 4 or 5 picks, I feel like, on SmackDown and 4 or 5 picks on Raw.
Hold on a second. Can I interrupt you really quick? That's the last note I had. I hope that they don't release the entire draft in advance like they did last. Remember when they did that?
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
had the whole list on their website, and it was
Yeah.
just, oh my God, they're literally
in
doing
the order, and then
they
people cut onto it, and they're like, "Oh, we got to change things now."
Yeah.
Like I want it to feel like they have the war rooms that they use for like a sight gag, and I know we don't necessarily want authority figures on each show to actually conduct the drafts for both brands, but treat it like the draft is actually important. Book the show around the draft. Don't shoehorn the draft into the show. Have matches involved in the shows, SmackDown and Raw, that have some bearing on the draft itself, because that never really seems to happen of late. Whether like there's a situation where someone goes up to, I don't know, the New Day and says, all right, here's this match that's going on. If you win, we'll draft you all together. If you lose, we're only going to take one of you.
That's a cool idea.
Something like that. So the matches involved in the actual show have some bearing on the draft that's happening. Treat the draft like it's important. Because I feel like far too often they feel that it's like an obligation, a formality. The show goes on separate from the draft itself. Bring them together.
Larson, I hate to try and correct you on a show when I'm your guest.
Oh, please do.
And
please do. Please do.
Champion to champion. I don't want to correct you. But you just said then that we don't have authority figures. But we do. It's Adam Pearce. He is the general manager of both Raw and SmackDown.
How can I forget?
He is clearly just going to be the guy who is masterminding all of these draft picks.
He's the guy who's got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Luke.
No, I was going to say. I think this year we're not going to get people in war rooms. I think we're just going to get graphics on screen. I think that's sort of like 2008, 2009, 10 era where it was just like CM Punk gets drafted to ECW, like that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably right about that. I'm so glad you brought up Adam Pearce because Larson and I are big fans of Scrap Iron.
Absolutely.
I think we're both like waiting for it to be official. I just want him to have that actual title because they still just refer to him as WWE official. Well, Pat Buck is too, but all he does is run around and harass Nia Jax. So like we're both waiting for Scrap, but I think it'd be a great moment for Scrap Iron to step up, show his bona fides, and actually execute some of these trades.
Make Scrap Iron the commissioner of WWE.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's his title.
Yeah, the Roger Goodell.
Yeah, the Goodell of WWE. Rather, because if he's if he's actually in the war room drafting for both sides, he's like that person who joins fantasy football leagues and secretly has 2 teams, in an effort to try to improve his odds of winning.
I never knew that was a thing.
Oh yeah, that's happened before.
Oh my God.
Was it you?
Yeah, did you do
No
that?
comment, but
Did you have a mask on or something? How does that work?
no, I've never done that. I don't think.
You say, hey, Roland, here's my friend, Brian, and he's gonna have this team. Oh, can I meet him? Nope.
Nope.
You might have already. I don't know. But yeah, Scrap Iron Commissioner WWE, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. All right, moving on. Dirty Rich has a really tough one, and we're going to make it even tougher for Luke because he's our guest, and he just corrected us on our own show. Let's throw it to Dirty Rich.
Rich the Smash Bro here in my final match at question in this house until I move to my new one in a few days, but I had a question that I thought of while I was watching Raw last night, and that is Retribution, Raw Underground. They both suck. I mean, let's be honest, they're both terrible ideas. However, Mr. McMahon comes to both of you guys. You're in charge. One of you has to defend one to keep it while getting rid of the other one. So one of you has to say why Retribution is good and keep it around and get rid of Raw Underground. The other one has to do the opposite. But, hey, what are you going to do? Like I said, they both suck. But use your creative minds and come up with something, friendos. So, see you later. Thanks for everything.
All right, thank you, Dirty Rich.
Thank you, Dirty Rich.
What a tall task, and we're going to make it even taller for Luke. So I have to defend Retribution. Larson, you have to defend Raw Underground.
Yeah,
Luke,
man.
we're going to have you defend both of these. You have to explain why they're genius ideas and execution. That's going to be the harder part to do. Okay, I'll start with Retribution. I actually think that Retribution is a really good idea that we've seen time and time again in wrestling. We saw it done really well with the Nexus, at least at first. We've seen it done really well with the NWO, again, at first. We've seen invasion-type things happen, and usually they're initially met with a lot of praise because initially they're done pretty well. In the case of Retribution, from the outset, when you had a mishmash of smaller size performance center people in masks going around torching things, acting weird and like celebrating and using chainsaws on ropes and stuff like that, it really went over like a fart. I will say this about Retribution. I think that the execution obviously has been wonky, but I think some of the things that people crap on are also some of the things that could be cool if just done in a different way. Like the masks, I think, are a cool idea. If it just wasn't like a couple of Bane masks and a hockey mask and whatever Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez are wearing. Like if they had gone, I've said this before on the show, if they went in a direction more like The Purge, where it was just like really cool, sort of menacing design aesthetic. I think it could have been way cooler. I do think, though, in the end, if they let, and again, this is a huge if they let T-Bar, Dijak, if they let him, well, actually, I think there's a much better storyline they could roll with, and that's Keith Lee being the leader of Retribution, and it's kind of just a big troll to get his friends to a higher place. Like Dijak will unmask and Mia Yim will unmask. Like it makes all the sense in the world. It's like his girlfriend and his best friend. I think that could be really cool if they sort of reveal themselves to be kind of in a Nexus way. Like, hey, this is how we're making our impact, but we're doing it in a way that's making fun of how the WWE wants to do things. I think that could be cool. I think if they keep up with the straight and narrow approach, it's going to be more difficult to get over. But if T-Bar and the rest of the gang continue their Twitter activity the way they have been, it's going to get over with the fans because, like, that's all they have left are hardcore fans. So, like, people know that stuff's going on. They're going to get behind him. And also, he's Dijak. Everybody likes Dijak, and they know he can do cool stuff in the ring. So, I think it's a really good idea because we've seen it before as a cool idea. Execution's been wonky, but I think that, it's depending on how it plays out, it could be really cool. Raw Underground, I don't see much value in Raw. This was the first Raw in a long time this past week that didn't have Raw Underground. I didn't miss it a bit. And in fact, when I think back on it, all the times Raw Underground interrupts the show, it just bogs it down. That's what I've come to realize. The best thing coming out of Raw Underground is the relationship between Shane and the doorman, Jordan, their new bromance is my favorite part about Raw Underground. And that's not really justification for it sticking around. So there you go. There's my defense and burial of Raw Underground.
All right. Retribution has been kind of a disaster from the get-go. Literally, it's T-Bar and Mace trying to salvage this thing on Twitter on a daily basis. It's an uphill battle for them. They're doing great work trying to salvage this disaster. But at the end of the day, what we see on TV is what's going to lead to this angle succeeding or failing, no matter how top-notch their Twitter game is. Raw Underground, as a premise, has promise. You got this underground Fight Club type vibe. The problem, however, though, is that in this self-contained world they're trying to build, they haven't laid out their own ground rules adequately enough. Why are people there? How do people gain entry into this? How do fights end other than by Shane's whims? If they had at Payback, because we pitched this idea, make Payback like the Raw Underground exclusive pay-per-view. Bring stories that exist outside of Raw Underground into there. Do a tournament to crown the first like Raw Underground champion. Make it analogous to what Bloodsport is, that was just happening in a couple weeks, because people like that. People like the shoot style wrestling. It's different. It's entertaining. We've seen some matches like the ones Dolph had been having in Raw Underground have been a lot of fun. It's another one of WWE's ideas that someone comes up with the kernel of a good idea, but it never flourishes beyond kernel. It remains kernel until they give up on it. It's a perpetual thing. Same thing kind of with Retribution for a while, where they have all these people in it, and you're like, okay, obviously these are all just like cruiserweights. They don't know who's going to be in this group, and then they eventually weeks later settle on who's going to be in the group with no explanation why at least two members grew at least a foot, So Raw Underground, I think, has a lot of promise. Yeah, the relationship between Shane and Doorman Jordan is great. Apart from that, Shane is by far the weakest part of Raw Underground. His emceeing skills are garbage. His refereeing skills are worse. I think if you keep Shane behind the camera, because I guess it's kind of his idea, have someone else come in to help him actually develop this idea beyond the kernel, make it its own thing, give it the last hour of Raw, or at least a good 45 minutes, so it's not constantly interrupting the show. Make it its own self-contained thing, and I think it'll be fine. But as it exists now, it's unnecessary. It's just unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I like you, Steve. I did not miss Raw Underground on Raw this week, and actually, when the show ended, I didn't even realize it wasn't there. It was only until I went onto Twitter and I was like, "Oh yeah, there was no Raw Underground this week." And like we've seen the reports, like Sean was reporting that it's how do matches end? Shane just decides, like on the day during matches, Shane just goes like, "Yep, that one's done now." Mm-hmm. So there's no rule. Okay, now I've got to try and defend this. Hold on. Right, I've had time to think about it while you guys have said things. So I've had time for this. And it's not Retribution. Okay, I'm going to defend Retribution. Dominic Dijakovic, Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez are on Raw. They are on TV, and they are in a prominent story, which is better than most NXT call-ups. Mm-hmm. So there's that. And I think, because we actually had this question onto our mailbag show I did with Denise on Friday, is that this can be saved once they get in the ring and they have a big match. Like the Shield's debut match where, there was the TLC match that they did, and they just went out there and had this killer match, and everyone was like, oh my God, these three new guys I've never heard of are awesome. Mm-hmm. You do that with Retribution. You go out there and just let Dijak have a really good match and have like Dio Madden and Shane Thorne do their stuff as well against the Hurt Business, against Lashley, Cedric, and Shelton Benjamin. They're going to get over from that because people are going to be like, oh yeah, well the gimmick sucks, but dang, the matches are good. So I think that's how I'm going to defend Retribution. The talent is there to make this bad idea work to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good job.
Raw Underground's a harder one because I hate Raw Underground. I hate it so much. Laurie Blake, one of the other guys on our channel, perfectly described it as it's Shane McMahon's Sweet 16 birthday party. Like a millionaire's kid who was just like, what do you want for your birthday? It's like, I want my own fight club. It's like, cool, you can have it then. So he's just bopping around, celebrating his sweet 16. And these guys are just doing their sweaty thing for his own amusement.
I saw that on Twitter. Somebody, as soon as I think it was right after the very first thing that we saw of Raw Underground, when he was him and he said, hey, stay tuned for Raw Underground. And you see some guys fighting in the background. I saw a tweet from somebody, I don't know who, and it just said, oh, he totally did this in college. And that's probably totally true.
It was him and Pete Gas and Joey Abs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mean Street Posse, exactly.
That is what Raw Underground needs right now. Raw Underground needs the Mean Street Posse.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I was just listening to AE Podcast's Patreon. They're doing a review of Pete Gass's autobiography, which, by the way, sounds like a fascinating read.
Really?
And
interesting.
Yeah, apparently it's really, really good. He's a very, very positive guy. He's got some really interesting stories to tell, including one about Test trying to take a dump in a carrier bag to set on fire and throw across a car onto the Mean Street Posse's car while they were driving, and he missed the bag.
Oh, the hell's wrong with people? It's disgusting.
Anyway, so to defend Raw Underground, which, if anything, is like Test trying to take a dump in a bag in a moving car.
I wonder what his face is like when he noticed that he missed the bag. Uh-oh.
Oh, no way. Hey, Dabba-Kato got TV time, and he got to be on Raw and got in a match with Braun Strowman. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir got a bit of TV time out of it.
Yeah.
Arturo Roas has looked pretty good.
He looks pretty cool.
They just need to transfer that now onto actual TV to storylines that people care about.
You look like you're in pain right now trying to defend this, Luke. I'm sorry. That's on me. That's on the host. That was overkill. I'm sorry. That was too much. We're gonna break him. It's not even on the third question yet. All right. Let's see here. Guion Halili, Jacksonville's number one, has a question. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey there, friendos. This is Jacksonville's number one Matt Chatter, Guion Halili, back with another Matt Chat question. And this month, my question is once again related to Roman Reigns. His character tweak, heel Roman Reigns, talking the trash, beating the crap out of Jey Uso in his match during Clash of the Champions, I thought was amazing, especially the storytelling. So, with that being said, the tweak that he's had in his character, heel, talking trash, all that. Which other wrestlers need that tweak to make their characters go above and beyond what they're doing now? Face turn, heel turn, character tweak, I don't know. You guys talk about it. Too sweet, too good. Friendos, y'all are amazing. Later.
Thank you, Guion. So,
thank you, Guion.
We've seen how successful this Roman Reigns thing has been. Luke, are you a fan of the new Roman Reigns?
How can you not be, man? Like, it's so good, dude. Like, that match at Clash was
fantastic.
Oh my god! Like, the live reactions we did, like, it was a wacky old live stream that we were doing during Clash of Champions. I've never been on a live stream where all three people have just gone so quiet.
Yeah.
And just got like so sucked into the drama of a match. Last time that happened, I think, was Cody Dustin at Double or Nothing.
Oh,
You
yeah,
started to get
killer.
so engrossed in something.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, by the end of it, we're just like, that was absolute perfection. Oh, I love it.
It was so
So
good.
great.
So Guion wants to know, what other wrestlers need to pull a Roman Reigns and tweak their character? Larson, you're up first.
There's a one and only answer for me, and that's Ricochet. He's kind of been generic babyface for a vast duration of his WWE run. Of late, he's been able to show a bit more personality via this angle with Hurt Business. But dude is maybe the most athletic performer in all of WWE. Like, he should push that. And every time he's in the ring with somebody, be basically dismissive of their athletic abilities in light of his own. Give him an edge where he knows he could basically do anything in that ring and no one could compete with him in that regard. And have that be his character. Have him be arrogant, but not like typical. Like, the thing about what works so well with Roman is that everything is very understated. There's nothing huge except when there needs to be. And so when there is a huge outburst, it's all the more impactful because it doesn't happen on a regular basis. So if Ricochet can just carry himself with this air of arrogance without having to get in the mic and saying, "Oh, I'm the best. No one can compete with me." Just don't tell us that. Show us that. Carry yourself like you know you're the best. And there's actually a character for him to work with, which is something he's been lacking for 2 years now. And I think if he has that, puts on excellent matches week after week, he can go far.
Yeah, absolutely. Poof. You want me to go next?
You're up next.
Okay, right. I'm gonna say I've been giving this some thought because you obviously you kind of told me what to expect from this. I've been giving it a lot of thought. I went to the fish and chip shop earlier to go get my dinner. I've been giving it. I was standing in the queue and I was giving it some thought about who could I pick here. And there was one name that kept coming back to me, and that's Kevin Owens.
Oh.
And the reason why Kevin Owens keeps coming back to me is because I thought, what has he done since the Shane feud? Like he got Shane McMahon off of WWE TV back in October. He then got into a feud with Seth Rollins that lasted for months and months and months and led us to WrestleMania, where he beat Seth Rollins twice at WrestleMania and then did nothing. And if I was to put you on the spot now and say, what is Kevin Owens' character? What could you tell me about him? He is just a guy that is there. And I feel like he's just been a guy for a long time now. And it's Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen is not just a guy. Kevin Owens is someone who should be an absolute main eventer in this company. Should be a top challenger to Drew and or Roman. So yeah, I think Kevin Owens needs a real new coat of paint. Maybe it is turning him heel again and just letting him be Kevin Owens again. The KO show, rather than just being hello, I am chat show host. Please welcome my guest at this time. That's not the best use of Kevin Owens.
No.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
It's funny when he showed up on main roster, he was basically a prize fighter. He came out with the NXT title, which was it's so weird how they've run away from making NXT a thing. Now they'll acknowledge them every once in a while when they want to, for Survivor Series. But yeah, I agree. He used to be motivated. He used to have goals, and now he's got none. It's
now
absolutely crazy.
He's overcome with regret.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
His thing.
Yeah.
It's I feel so bad for all the wrong I've done in the past.
Maybe that's going to
now.
maybe that's going to lead to him getting a fresh coat of paint. Him, always saying, I'm trying to do things the right way now, but it's not getting him anywhere.
No.
All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say this. He's a brand new addition to the main roster, well, by a couple months, anyways. I'm gonna say Keith Lee. I think that Keith Lee is now in a completely different land. In NXT, everybody's 5'2", right? And so it was easy for him to dominate, and he's got an infectious personality that everybody loves. But now he's in the land of giants. He's squaring off against guys like Drew McIntyre, like Randy Orton. And granted, I know Dijak, he had a big thing with Dijak in NXT, and he's really tall, but he's also really lanky. Everybody else there is really small. So he's showing up on main roster, and what happens immediately? His first 6 matches, they're all DQs or whatever it was. He comes in, people keep on interfering. I don't think he needs to change his personality. I don't think he needs a complete rebrand at all. At all. I do think, though, and I noticed this, what made me think about this was I watched an interview, his post-Andrade match interview, which was on the .com or whatever. And he actually did seem just the interview, he seemed more aggressive. And it was subtle. It wasn't so noticeable, but it was there. And I think that in NXT, it was easy to believe that this guy could basically just not even break a sweat and get to the top. On main roster, it's not going to be like that. So he's going to have to be a little bit meaner. He's going to have to be, I've never seen arrogance from him. I've always seen just self-assuredness and confidence. I want to see a little bit of arrogance now. I'm not saying he has to be a heel. He's definitely not need to cheat, but make your point, set the example, be a little bit arrogant because you deserve that. You've earned that arrogance. So I think that could work for Keith Lee because, in NXT, he was dominant, but he's also kind of a nice guy. I don't want a nice guy. I want a mean guy. That's what I want from Keith Lee.
There you go.
Okay. Interesting.
There you go.
Next up, we got Church Jackson with a question for the Halloween. Let's see what he has to say.
Oh, it's for the Halloween, huh?
It's for the Halloween.
Hey, Steve and Larson, this is Church Jackson here. This month's Matt Chat question is this. Seeing as Halloween's coming up, my question is, what do you think the relationship between horror characters like The Fiend or Undertaker, going back to Kevin Sullivan, why do they seem to endear themselves to wrestling so well? That's it. Hearty handshake. Too sweet. Have a good day.
Thank you, Church. All right,
Thank
Luke,
you, Church.
You're up first. Why do you think wrestling fans dig the horror stuff?
I think there's a lot of crossover between wrestling fans and horror fans. I am both of those guys. My wife and I got married around Halloween because we love Halloween, and we wanted to have like pumpkins and stuff, like carved pumpkins around like as our table settings and stuff like that. We absolutely love it, and we love having like Halloween get-togethers every Friday the 13th. We will watch a Friday the 13th movie, like we watch them in chronological order, and then once that's finished, just go right back to the start and just just work our way through it. And so I think that's probably why. I think they're also cool. Like they're all because they're different from everyone else. Like the Fiend is totally different from Roman Reigns or from Seth Rollins. So yeah, I think that's kind of why the horror like that. That's at least for me why I'm certainly endeared to them.
Yeah, I'll sort of piggyback on that. I think that it's like the kind of thing that it's immediately accessible to fans. It's like, oh, who hasn't seen at least a couple of horror movies, by the time you're in your teens or whatever. It's like, oh, I guess the WWE by the time in your 50s. It's like, so like everybody knows it already. Like when you see The Fiend, it's like, oh, wow, they're doing a horror movie guy. That's really cool. And he looks really cool too. He fits in. I do think that it is also, though, it's a high risk, high reward type thing because we have seen the horror thing fail on a bunch of occasions. I mean, Mordecai. Yeah. Everybody thinks of. Like, I think that it was kind of interesting because I think one of the most well-designed characters, and this sort of goes to my point that it kind of boils down to what stories they can conjure up for the characters as well. And if you have one killer story, then that character may have some longevity. But the Boogeyman looked amazing. Looked great and performed expertly, but they never really gave him that one great story that could have launched him into like Undertaker status, Like, didn't he like eat a giant mole off somebody's face before or something?
Something like that.
Yeah. So like, there are ways that it can fail. So it also boils down to, well, how do you use them? Like the creative has to be there. Even if the performer is killing it, there has to be some sort of hook. There has to be something accessible there. And that sort of goes along with like the great horror movie villains or great horror movie characters also, is that it always boils down to the story. Like you can sum up Halloween in one story, you can sum up Nightmare on Elm Street in one story, et cetera, et cetera. All the classics you can sum up in one sentence rather. And so I think that kind of goes hand in hand with wrestling as well. We've seen failures. But yeah, everything you said, like there is a lot of crossover, I would imagine, between the wrestling fan and the horror movie fan. And people know, they understand when they see him, oh, I know where this guy's coming from. Let's see where he's going to go.
Yeah. Another thing that I think the horror themed characters have to their advantage is there's an element of spectacle just intrinsically tied to the characters based on their presentation, because they're supposed to be presented as larger than life. With that comes a certain degree of spectacle. Even like the debut of The Undertaker, it wasn't flashy. But you have this guy dressed in this outfit doing the slow walk down to the ring, and it's so different than anybody else since Bray Wyatt debuted. Spectacle, just so different than anything else. And that's people will pay attention if there's something different, and it seems larger than the run of the mill storylines going on, even if it isn't. If you put forth the idea that, okay, this is something you need to pay attention to because they're different and there's a spectacle attached to it, they stand out. And assuming the stories are good, as you mentioned, Steve, people will pay attention and follow along.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that Fiend entrance at SummerSlam last year, like,
oh, wow, yeah,
one of the all-time great debut entrances, because like
sure.
he was already, like, I think the Firefly Funhouse had gotten over with fans anyway. but that entrance sold everyone on this character, and it made him like coming out of SummerSlam. I can't tell you another match that happened on that card, but I could tell you like beat for beat everything that happened in that Fiend Finn Balor match. And yeah, I think the following day, that's all anyone could talk about was, oh my god, that entrance. To the point where like, my wife hates wrestling; she doesn't watch it, but everyone was talking about it so much, and she listens to our podcast stuff. She was like, "Can I watch it? Because I want to see what people are talking about." She didn't like it much, but she I think it was so cool.
The head lantern was so shocking. I remember watching it. We're like, they're really doing it. That's his head. That's his head.
How are they getting away with this? You know?
That's what we were thinking. Like. And then when he broke Finn Balor, when he did the movie Breaking of the Neck, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. The moment you realize that it's his old entrance music, with like this dark side version of it, genius.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
And they killed it a month later.
Yeah. Well, we don't talk about that. Let's see. It's funny. we got killed because I'm assuming you're talking about Hell in a Cell. Yeah, because we were defending that on our show.
We didn't mind that.
Guys.
I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like it's like a horror movie thing. That makes sense. And then everybody was like, fuck you guys.
How can you have a DQ in a Hell in a Cell match?
You guys are a bunch of sellouts. I just thought it was kind of cool.
And after that, that's when I became an AEW shill after that. I had to save face.
Yeah, you're like, fuck you guys then. Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. After that, you were like, I don't care if AEW's crap. I'm going to love it. All right. So next up, we've got, speaking of a different non-WWE company, we've got TNA for Life asking us a question. Speaking of the Fiend, let's see what he has to say.
What is up, friendos? It's your boy TNA for Life, back with a Matt Chat question. Right now watching Clash of Champions with Steve Larson. Special shout out to the Enforcer. My question this month is, do you think that WWE sees Jeff Hardy being below having a feud with The Fiend? I think that would be an incredible feud, but I also think that they consider them almost to be in different divisions. I want to know how you guys feel about that. I was also going to say, can you see two of them fighting for the IC belt, but Jeff just lost that, so that's no longer relevant. But how would you feel about the two of them feuding, and do you think it's something that WWE would do? Thank you so much. Too sweet. Hearty handshake. Peace out.
Thank you, TNA for Life. I mean, they totally should do a Jeff Hardy versus Fiend feud. Jeff Hardy no longer has the IC title. I think the natural course at this point would be for him to take on the Fiend. I think Jeff Hardy, the Fiend works best, obviously, when he's got opponents, as we saw with the John Cena match at WrestleMania. The Fiend works best when he has an opponent with tons of history. Obviously, it didn't work out for Goldberg and him, but he works best, generally speaking, with an opponent with tons of history. Jeff Hardy himself, obviously, very creative, sometimes borderline supernatural wrestler, as we saw with his bar fight with Sheamus when he was able to, I think, didn't he like teleport or something?
No, Sheamus put the hat over his face and took the hat off, and he had his face paint on.
Yeah, that's right. There it was. Thank you. So yeah, I think that Bray Wyatt, one of the great things about him, again, as we saw with the Cena stuff, but we've seen it with other things, is he can take the history of a character and the essence of a character. And Jeff Hardy, he's so easy to distill, and play with those ideas. You know, the idea that Jeff Hardy is, the extreme guy, and he has been for, over 20 years now. I wouldn't want him to dive into the addiction, the substance abuse stuff, because that's been so overplayed. But I think that those two could come together and have some really cool stuff. I imagine they probably already have a decent relationship because Matt Hardy and Bray seem to get along so well.
Yeah, they seem pretty friendly. Yeah,
it wouldn't shock me at all if they were already talking. So yeah, I think this would be a feud that everybody would be into, including the people involved, the people at home watching. There are no losers here. This is a win-win situation. 100%. Totally. Do it.
Yeah, agreed. They totally should do it. And maybe this would be the feud where they finally kind of set aside the constant running thing with Jeff Hardy they've done for years, going back to the substance abuse issues. I don't know his investment in that particular story. I don't know if that's something he wants to do because, he wants to promote the idea that you can, heal yourself I don't know. I don't know what the backstage news is about it, but when it's a constant focus on every one of his stories, it's uncomfortable to watch knowing his past. So maybe a feud with the Fiend, a feud with the Fiend, can get him in creative past that. And here's another thing: when you have a thing with the Fiend, you're changed, and sometimes you revert to something you were in your past. Jeff Hardy recently said he wants to bring, sadly not Itchweed, but Willow to WWE. He has a feud with the Fiend. Willow comes to WWE. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's something different. So why not? Let's do it. Itchweed, yeah. Bring Itchweed back, though.
I was going to say, like, 100% they should. My worry was that somehow Willow would get involved. I'm not a Willow fan. I'm a Jeff Hardy fan. Like, I love Jeff Hardy and will love absolutely anything that Jeff Hardy does, with the exception of... I was one of the few guys that liked the heel turn in TNA. I thought the heel turn was awesome, but I did not like Willow. So, but yeah, 100%, they totally should do a feud, and I think it would be awesome.
Yeah.
As long as it's not... As long as there's no Willow, that's just like a personal preference. But like you guys said, I don't want them to bring up the substance abuse, because like it's been done to death with Jeff at this point. Like, Punk's done it, Sheamus did it, just a couple of months ago. I don't think we need to bring it back up again. Like, it's not cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I am actually really glad that, excuse me, that for the duration of the Intercontinental thing with him and Sammy and AJ, it hasn't really been brought up. Like, nope. I'm glad that AJ, if he focused on anything, he focused on how he felt the match went down between them, calling Jeff a cheater, and he didn't bring up, the substance abuse stuff. So I'm really glad that they have not brought it up since the Sheamus stuff, and hopefully they leave it in the past. I agree with both of you guys.
Yes.
Next up, we've got Loki with a question about goodbyes.
Hey, Steve and Larson, Loki Richard here.
Delete, Freak of Destruction.
Buddy Love, this is actually going to be the last time we're together for a while, so we have a Matt Chat question for you. Buddy Love, do the honors. Man, that was beautiful.
Our Matt Chat question is going to be, what's the best farewell speech of all time?
We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you, Freak Legion. Thank you,
Freak
Loki.
Legion.
And
Thank you.
Larson, go ahead. What's the best farewell speech of all time?
I know this is kind of a swerve farewell speech, but the best one is Mark Henry. It's Mark Henry in the salmon jacket.
It is.
Going out doing the retirement address. Cena comes out. Hey, good career, man. Bang, world's strongest slam. That's the best.
So good.
The performance on the speech was just pitch perfect.
It really was.
The timing of everything was so perfect. The swerve, so perfect. Man, that's like a segment I can watch over and over and over and pick out the little nuances and how everything was done just perfectly. It's Mark Henry. Mark Henry.
I remember watching that and seeing Cena out there, and I just remember thinking to myself, good Lord, what Cena is just like making this about him staying out there. Why didn't he just like leave? And then I found out why he didn't leave, because he got his ass handed to him, and I marked out so hardcore for that.
So good.
Oh, that was
so
great. Luke, what do you think?
Great.
What's the best farewell speech of all time?
I mean, maybe this will be a pretty obvious answer. We're going to go the Daniel Bryan, the farewell speech that he gave when he had to retire. I came close to quitting up on wrestling once Punk left in 2014. I was so down on WWE. I was kind of like, I was ready to be done. He was kind of the guy that was keeping me there, and I was kind of ready to be done. But the Daniel Bryan thing just actually because 2013 felt like such a hammering on fans and being like, oh, you like this Daniel Bryan guy? Well, we don't. So we're going to keep putting him in title matches, and he's going to lose all the time because we don't like you. And so I was kind of like ready to be done. And then Punk left, and then Daniel Bryan started up again. And that WrestleMania 30 match, absolutely magical. And it just sucked. Then he had to go.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that title run. And he came back, and then he won the IC belt the following year. That didn't last long. And then he had to go. And it just felt like it just sucked. And I've only cried a couple of times I've cried quite a few times as a wrestling fan. But that one was like that was an emotional hit on me, man.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite actual farewell speech. I'm going to go with this one, though, because I embrace the ridiculous in wrestling. I embrace the backstage bullshit. I lost my smile when HBK lost his smile and decided to retire. And the whole thing was just because he was bitchy about what was going on backstage. And he went out there like an asshole. And like for 5 minutes, I watched this back right before we hop back on the Zoom call. I watched it, and the entire time he's just looking at McMahon, and he's basically delivering this farewell speech to McMahon as a way to stick it to him. Like, I'm your best performer, I'm your best guy, and I'm leaving because you're not doing what I want you to do. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's so stupid. But it's also my favorite farewell speech. And they cut to people in the audience, and they're like, and this guy is totally just being a raging dick and manipulating the hell out of everybody. That's my favorite farewell speech of all time.
Good choice.
97 Shawn Michaels is the worst in all the best ways.
And the best. Exactly. You're exactly right.
Next, we got a question from Stephen M.
What's going on, friendo? Stephen M here. It's been a while since I submitted a match chat question. Now, this is going to probably be a mashup of two ideas. Also, congrats on your 24-hour stream. Big too sweet on that. So, what should they do with the women's tag belts? I'm thinking a cross-band round-robin tournament culminating at Evolution 2, which I don't know we'll ever get. But if that was to happen, book will say an 18 round robin tournament, and who goes over, and the champs are also in it. So like if they win, they get to handpick their opponents or whatever, kind of like the G1. And my second question is, what should they do with Daniel Bryan when he returns? Too sweet.
Thank you, Stephen M.
Thank you.
So yeah, Luke, what do you say?
you.
What should they do with those women's tag titles?
I want them to go back to the promise they made initially when they brought these belts in, being defended across all three brands. Hard now because we're in the sort of pandemic COVID era, particularly with the outbreak they had in NXT and how like there's got to be the separation between the two things. But like, man, it was so much easier when everyone was at the Performance Center. They could have easily have done the cross brand thing then. I'd like to see them as traveling belts because as much as they say that they are, they just feel like they're brand exclusive. Have we seen Nia and Shayna on SmackDown since they won the belts? Like, it just felt like an excuse to get Bayley and Banks on all three shows. But that's what I'd like to see them do. Become back to being... It sucks that they split up all their tag teams as well. Like, they split up Rose and DeVille and the Iconics. And now it just looks like... You kind of look in the landscape and like, whether we just throw Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke together because, well, we need some people. So, yeah, traveling belts. That's what I'd like to see them do. And I'd also, for the record, like to see them do that with the men's tag titles as well because... Like, I mean, you can count on one hand the amount of tag teams the WWE has got across two brands.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything you just said. And yeah, I've been asking for that on our show, and I'm hoping. I'm hoping that comes Survivor Series, maybe. That's what I was hoping the Cesaro Nakamura thing was going to be when they challenged the Street Profits. I was like, oh, cool, they might unify the titles now, because WWE's tag division across the board is completely decimated. It is completely. The women's tag titles, I agree with what you're saying. I think that it was a lot of fun to see Sasha and Bayley defend those titles in NXT. That 1 week they did it. I think NXT right now has one of my favorite tag teams to watch out of all the tag teams, and that's Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. I think they're a blast, and they're only going to get better. And yeah, why not do it? I think that there's every reason to have them be traveling tag titles, have an inter-brand tournament. I mean, that's one thing that we try to be positive on the show, but WWE, if there's one thing that WWE does really, really well, it's miss opportunities. And so, like, I think that, like, you had four of the top Bullet Club members and you never made an entire Bullet Club. What the hell? Anyway, but yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think what better way to promote NXT? I know what you're saying with COVID right now. It's difficult. That'll hopefully die down at some point. And we can get back to it. But yeah, you can create new stars out of that. You can, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a totally great idea.
Yeah, and what better way to cement the idea that the women tag titles are cross-brand than having a cross-brand round-robin type tournament, you know?
Oh, I love it.
And what better way to actually solidify some women's tag teams that will actually last longer than necessary for a feud against the champions or a few feuds to be champions than having a tournament like that. I think that'd be great. The only problem is apparently WWE is not that fond of tournaments, much less round robin tournaments. So I doubt we'll see that, but I think that'd be pretty awesome if they found a way to get it done, but I don't know if they will. They probably won't.
All right. Let's see here. Our last question is a text question from Luisa Reza, and he wants us to book the best Heavenmania card. He wants at least 7 matches on it with a heavyweight title, a mid-card title, tag titles, women titles, and a trios title. Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Let's do this. So I'm not sitting here booking 7 matches on the fly because I didn't research this. I will do what I think the biggest main event of Heavenmania could potentially be. The 2 biggest dead names in wrestling at this point has to be, I would think, listen to this main event, guys. Andre the Giant versus Bruno Sammartino.
Ooh.
That's your main event. Beat that main event. Who's up next? Luke, are you next? Who's next?
Larson, you're next.
Larson, you're next.
I got Bruno in my main event, but I got him against Luthez.
They never wrestled? Did they
I don't
ever?
know.
Hold on a second.
I don't know.
Bruno versus, I
Bruno was
guarantee.
a WWE guy, and Luthez was always an NWA guy.
I'm going to put this in right now, and I guarantee you it's going to be like a 2K18 thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a video
like
game
that.
thing.
Yeah,
totally.
Bruno versus Luthez. Nope. Let's see here. Yeah. No, I don't think they ever did. Oh, there is one post here though from 2001. Bruno Sammartino attacks Luthez on Meltzer's show. I'm pretty sure that was just verbally. That'd be awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah, right. All right, Luke. What's your Heavenmania main event? What are the 2 biggest wrestling names that are dead that could put on Heavenmania match? You get to the white pearly gates. They say, "Oh, you got your ticket for Heavenmania. You get front row like everybody in heaven because it's heaven. You could do that."
It sucks that there's too many names to pick from. Like, that is the worst thing about this. There are too many. Oh, man. I was just thinking then, I was like, oh, that'd be good. Oh, but also, what about this guy? Because the name that always pops to my mind is Owen, but maybe you want to save Owen for your mid-card match. Do you want to save Owen for your mid-card? Okay. Main event, then. It's got to be Macho Man.
Oh,
who would Macho Man?
Oh, yeah.
Who could you put Macho Man against that he wouldn't have faced? Oh man, I really should have thought about this more. Why was I not thinking about this when I was getting my fish and chips? Why was I thinking about Kevin Owens?
This is the most important question on the show.
Idiot. What was I thinking about?
You're thinking about those wonderful fish and chips.
Oh, that sounds good.
I was, yeah. Nice big gherkin. It was great. Come on now. Macho Man versus. I mean, the thing is, like, Larson's written an answer down, and I don't want to steal it, but it's literally the best answer you could possibly get.
Oh, I didn't see. Hold on. Let me go back to the document.
Oh, take it, Luke. Take it.
Can I? Oh, it's
yes.
so good, dude. Okay, well, credit to Larson for this one then. Macho Man versus Eddie Guerrero.
It's kind of that's what I wrote down before I realized that he had that down.
Yeah,
that's a no-brainer right there, man. That's a great one.
That's it. As soon as Larson wrote that in the document, I was like, oh, yep, that's literally the answer right there.
There's
excellent. No topping that.
Let's see. Okay, now let's go down. Luke, you can start with this one because you already had Owen Hart for your big mid-card title match. Who's he going to fight? What dead wrestler is he going to fight?
It sucks to say the name. Benoit.
Yeah.
If he's there.
Yeah.
If he's there, which he probably isn't.
It's Heavenmania, right?
Yeah. I know. Right, come on now. Who's a dead wrestler that's a good mid-carder that didn't kill his family? Owen Perfect.
Oh, ooh, that's
good.
a good one.
That'd be good.
That's a good one.
Owen Perfect's good.
Larson, who do you got for your mid-card matchup?
Oh, I had Macho Man versus Eddie for my mid-card matchup.
Okay.
I'll come up with something else real quick.
All right.
He's a main eventer, and you know it.
Oh, he is. He is, without a doubt. I like the idea of Mr. Perfect in a bout. Let's do Perfect versus... I'm trying to think of someone who is well-regarded as like a ring technician.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So they can go out there and put on a classic.
Mm-hmm. How about Brian Pillman?
Oh.
Pillman versus Owen would actually be really good.
That would be killer. That'd be really good.
There you go. That's my mid-card belt.
Okay, here's my mid-card belt. All right, so this is going to be for the NWA. The mid-card title we're talking about is the NWA National North American title? Whatever.
Well, now
it's
the
called.
national one.
Now it's the national, but back then I think it was North American. It's going to be a Von Erich family rumble. So all the Von Erichs are going to fight it out for that NWA mid-card title.
That's good.
I like
That's
it.
good.
That's
I
good.
like it a lot. All right, up next, I guess this would be who's going to be the women's title match.
Okay, I got something.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna go China Mae Young.
Oh wow, that's really
That's
good.
good.
Forgot
That is
about
really good.
China.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a really good one. Damn it. I'm literally, this is so grim. I'm scrolling through names of dead wrestlers. I feel terrible about it. Although I think I've got a killer trios match on the way.
All right.
Can I?
All right.
I'm going to top your like. This is terrible. I'm scrolling dead wrestlers. I just had a moment there where I was like, "Is this guy dead?"
Yeah, I
And
know.
had
That's
to
what I
go
was thinking
quickly
too.
double-check.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, here we go. Let's see here. Okay, I think I've got. So I can't outdo the China one. The China one's really good. I can't outdo that. I will do this though. Here's my tag. So I've got a tag team, or like a real tag team, and then I've got a tag team that I just made up of dead wrestlers. Okay. So I've got, of course, obviously, now that it's been like a week, the Road Warriors are going to be in tag action against, listen to this, Yokozuna and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, that's good.
What a terrifying team that'd be to go
How about
against.
this? This is my tag match. Road Warriors versus Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy.
Oh.
2/3 of the Freebirds.
Oh, I like it. That's good. Luke, who do you have for your tag team Heavenmania match?
I had Road Warriors versus the Bulldogs.
Oh, wow.
Baby
Oh,
Boy
okay.
And
That's
Dynamite
good.
Kid.
That's good.
Good.
That's a good one. Let's see.
How about
here.
this for a women's match? China versus Luna Vachon.
Oh, that's good. That's good
Ooh,
too.
That is good.
I love the idea of China versus one of the classic women's wrestlers. So I like the Mae Young one. Let's see here. How about I'm trying to think of like a trios match. I'm okay. How about this? I've got Giant Haystacks. Okay.
About the
here
Great
we go.
Antonio.
Here we go. Yeah. Okay, that's who I was trying to think of. So Giant Haystacks, Great Antonio, and oh man, I don't know. I'm just looking at names right now. Let's see here. Is 911 still alive?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh no, I think he died, didn't he?
I think he died. What about what is he? Was he the same? No, was One Man
No,
Gang
he's
and
alive.
911. They were
He's
different
60.
people, right?
He's 63, in fact.
He's still alive?
He's still alive.
Oh no.
Still with us.
Okay, so let's see here. I've got okay, how about this? Man, I'm all over the place right now. Oh, okay, how about this? For trios, let's go with El Santo.
Good.
What's Pero Aguayo Jr. I'm trying to think of like a lucha type theme here.
Yeah.
And then Garza. What was Garza's first name? Was it Hector?
Yeah.
Hector Garza. Is that, remember right about that one?
There is a Hector Garza that's a wrestler, yes.
Is he dead?
I don't know. Yes, he is.
Okay. Well, there's one team, and then on the other side we got Giant Haystacks, Great Antonio, and I'm just looking at names here. Boy, these people are too. They died too. And then Dick the Bruiser. I just threw a bunch of dead people together. Sorry, I don't have anything.
Oh, gosh.
Luke, you're up. Give me 6 dead people.
Okay. Okay. Well, these my 6 dead people I got here. I feel like this might be my best match as well. Also, I just thought I should have had China Hanakamura.
Oh,
match.
Dang it, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my trios match though. I've got on one side of the ring, Candido and Public Enemy.
Ooh, that's good.
Taking on the beefy boy B team of the Big Boss Man, Balls Mahoney, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
That's so good.
Okay, I've got one more match. And it would be the kickoff show coming to you live from hell. The Ultimate Warrior versus Chris Benoit.
Oh, my gosh. I got one team of 3, a hardcore team of Supreme.
Ooh.
Hayabusa and Mike Awesome.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, Awesome's a great shout.
Yeah.
And then I got to think of 3 more kind of hardcore wrestlers.
Is Abdullah the Butcher still alive, right?
Yeah, Butcher's isn't he?
He's still alive.
Yeah, he was on
Ring
of
Dark
Hell,
Side of the Ring. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Ring. That's it. Yeah.
You already.
Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody would be in there.
Bruiser Brody.
Oh, yeah, Bruiser. Yeah. Oh, it's a great show.
That's good. Let's
Look
see
at all these names, man.
This is a terrific dead card.
There's too many names on this Wikipedia page I'm looking at.
Oh, dude, it's massive. Yeah, it's sadly massive. Yeah. Oh, what about Larson? You could toss Dr. Death in there.
There you go.
And how about this? How about your next hardcore guy? This guy was a hardcore champion, Crash Holly.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, little Elroy Jetson.
There you go. All right. Well, that's enough. Oh, how about this for a hardcore guy? Mass Transit.
Yeah, I just saw his name on here too.
All right. Well, on Mass Transit, we're going to thank Luke Owen for being here.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you.
Thanks, thank you so much, guys, for having me. What a way to go out. I can't believe I mentioned Benoit.
Well, it's a special occasion. You're visiting our home. Why not, right? Why not go out in controversy? Anyways, thanks so much, dude. It's a lot of fun to have you here.
Yes.
And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you guys want to send in your Matt Chat questions on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. So go check that out. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Bye.